Greetings, salutations, and good now. I'm astrologer Kevis Major, doing it major. And in today's video, we're going to be preparing for the full moon because undoubtedly it's going to be a busy period. Now, today is the 13th of January. It's 11:01 a.m. St. Kitts time, St. Kitts and Nevis time here in the Caribbean. When I'm filming this video, the moon is going to be full at around 6:30 p.m. So maybe another 7 hours to go until the moon is full. It's going to be full in Cancer, water sign. Now, classically, traditionally in astrology, a full moon signals fulfillment where we rest, relax, enjoy the fruits of our labor. Celebrations are also on the table, maybe feast and gatherings and so forth, especially in a sign like this, Cancer, which just rings the bells of homecoming, family reunions, or just having a nice roast with the family. All right. But this full moon, in my opinion, is going to be a bit different just because of some key placements and alignments that we're having at this point in time. Also, we need to give a bit more realism because people come from different backgrounds and demographics and situations, and location plays a critical part in astrology. Now, someone like me coming from, where I'm coming from, we endure different hardships and circumstances which would make our outcomes a lot different from people who come from, different countries and different locations. So I got to give a real perspective on what we could see based on our geographical location. You know what I'm saying? What's going to happen around this full moon? Now, again, the full moon, fulfillment. All right. Reaping the fruits of your labor, enjoying and resting and rejoicing. However, what if you're one of the person who has not and you don't have? What if you're emotionally unstable during the full moon? And so, based on the seeds that you've been planting, the new moon, the first quarter leading up to the full moon, that's going to tell you what are you going to be reaping or enjoying or not enjoying during this time. And so we got to be careful because, like the farmer who has just harvested a bountiful harvest, just before the full moon, and now he's going to be, rejoicing with the family and all the workers and celebrating the harvest. He got to look out for robbers and thief and, other pesky pests and animals that may want to ruin the harvest, or just even other situations and circumstances that could ruin all of the hard work. So full moon, even though it's a time of fulfillment and rejoicing and enjoying the fruits of your labor, it's also a time of protection. You know what I'm saying? Where you need to keep your guards up, protecting the things that you have received or are about to receive. Pardon me. I remember there was a prayer that we used to say back in primary school: for what we are about to receive, may the Lord make us truly thankful. For Christ's sake, amen. No, the time for being thankful is always, it's every day. Most, let's say, traditionally or classically, the waning gibbous moon after the full moon is, more so for gratitude, generosity, as we are able to, even share some of the harvest, and so forth and so forth. I know that I'm coming from, like a farming background, but so in the physical, so in the spiritual and esoterically as well. And so, again, this full moon, as we're about to receive whatever we're receiving, we need to also be protecting ourselves, protecting our energy, protecting our investments, protecting our goods, and just looking out for, the invaders who are going to come and try to kill, steal, and destroy like they always do. Now, let's get into some key placements. I just mentioned what we are about to receive. Capricorn is a feminine sign, it's receiving, it's negative. And so Capricorn speaks towards Capricorn season is the winter time Irregardless of where you are. Now, again, geographical location where I am, we don't experience winter as other places. We more have two seasons, the wet and dry. However, the winter time does have different characteristics. The reason why I mention winter is because during the winter, in a lot of places, it's all about living or sustaining off of what you've farmed or hunted in the previous seasons. And so the Capricorn energy speaks towards building off of a foundation and moving off of some sort of accumulation. You know what I'm saying? So there is influences or energies that say that, hey, this is a time for us to receive, this is a time for us to gain, this is a time for us to accumulate. But it comes from hard work, persistence, determination. And that's why I say this full moon is going to be quite different, because even though the full moon is like, okay, we need to relax and we're going to be fulfilled, our emotions are going to be running high. And that's another reason why it calls for, retreating, relaxation, even seclusion, and just being in a comfortable space. The full moon makes us long for comfortability, security, stability, that motherly energy that makes us feel at home and everything is going to be okay, especially when it's a sign like Cancer, which is the mother sign. And so, yes, it speaks towards, resting and relaxing. However, the Capricorn sun is like, yo, persistence, hard work, determination, keep going. Capricorn is not the most consistent sign. We need to look to like the fixed sign Taurus, who shows us longevity and, consistency. But Capricorns are hardworking, and the Capricorns could accumulate a lot of abundance in a short period of time just because of their, cardinal nature. So we get in and then we get out. We do it major and then, we take a rest. So the Capricorn energy is going to, is going to urge us to continue working, and it's going to be opposing the full moon in Cancer. So full moon in Cancer is going to, allude to nurturing and taking care of something, the motherly type energy. And so rather than relaxing and sitting back like, hey, it's the full moon, let's just chill out, based on where we come from, we can't chill out. We can't afford to have off days per se. And so moon in Cancer, continue nurturing, continue working hard. Sun in Capricorn opposing. Now we're going to need to balance, we're going to need to balance between home and work. However, it doesn't say, okay, let's just stop working and just chill out, because we know that we need to be protecting our goods, you know what I'm saying, and our harvest and our energies and our emotional space. We can't run into a situation that is going to get us flustered. However, we can't run away and hide because it's inevitable. Mars is in retrograde conjuncting the moon. And so Mars speaks towards our will, our passion, our motivation, our ambition, the inside of us that makes us get up and go towards our goals, right? And be even aggressive and get angry and want to fight the things that we would actually fight for. And that could be people, places, things, and situations, circumstances. Mars being in retrograde is going to resurface, or we get to peer into or be introspective. Things are going to resurface. We're going to revisit our goals. It's also in Cancer, so have we been taking care of the things that we should have been taking care of properly? Have we been nurturing the things we should have been nurturing properly? We already had Mars in Cancer earlier in the year. And no, I think that was last year. Sorry, that was last year. And I said that, it's a time of really nurturing and taking care of whatever you're passionate about and fine-tuning it. And I don't want to say taps us into like that Virgo kind of Gemini energy, but you could kind of get a bit more meticulous and detail oriented as Mars slows down in Cancer, and it's going to be conjuncting the moon. So again, wherever our mood is at, whether it may be, trying to balance with the work and the home life, like Mars is going to give us extra emphasis. Even though it's slow, it's going to add energy, but more towards reevaluation, reassessing, even redoing, and having to do things over. Maybe you didn't do something properly and you have to do it again, and take your time and slow down and really, you know be a bit more careful and caring when it comes to going towards your goals and your ambitions and stuff like this. No, we're gonna get on the flip side, because again, we gotta be realistic. I don't know why domestic issues are jumping out. Well, I know why, because moon is in Cancer, full moon. So we're going to be emotional, we're going to be moody, and it might most likely be around this space, affairs of the heart, things that make you comfortable, things that make you feel safe. Sun in Capricorn speaks heavily towards your stability, your security, your safety, and certain structures that keep you secure. Moon in Cancer speaks towards affairs of the heart, emotional stability, emotional security, feeling cared for, nurtured, appreciated in some way, shape, or form. And so some people are going to have this and some people won't have this. Some people are going to be, emotionally flustered and really longing for family or longing for a person who cares for them. And so with Mars being there, it might not be good in certain people's home, because not everyone comes from a good home. And Mars in retrograde conjuncting Cancer, I just feel like domestic abuse and violence is on the table. Just because Mars retrograde, something resurfacing. Sun in Capricorn is a bit short-tempered as well, and we know that there could be bursts of anger, maybe typically from a Capricorn person, but we are all being influenced by this Capricorn energy that kind of makes us hot-headed. You know what I'm saying? It's weird because Capricorn is earth element, but because it's cardinal, he has that spark. Maybe you might be itchy or froggy to go and do something and initiate some sort of actions. So I would heavily suggest staying away from arguments, stay away from talking about very emotionally driven topics, stay away from anything too sensitive about the heart space. Don't talk about people's families or anything. Just for the next couple of days, we need to keep conversations surface level. Capricorn, we need to keep them light-hearted, we need to keep it a bit playful, just to avoid any sort of argument, any fights, any tension, any conflict during this point in time. We also need to note that we have Jupiter in Gemini retrograde. In my forecast last week, I spoke heavily towards past lovers or past exes, or people from the past coming back. This Jupiter retrograde in Gemini is squaring Venus in Pisces. And so Venus speaks towards our pleasures, feeling fulfilled, our desires, cravings, and how we give and receive pleasure in some way, shape, or form. So something that pleasured us in the past, we're having a little square off moment, or something that pleasures us, is kind of resurfacing, what I'm saying, and coming back into our life, where we have to reevaluate, reassess, or just even re-engage in some way, shape, or form. So we need to be very careful that we don't, create some sort of conflict during this point in time based on an old situation or someone coming back from the past to, bring some sort of confusion in your life. Now, again, this could happen on a positive note, where a past person is coming back and you guys could have a beautiful reunion, full moon in Cancer type energy. But again, we need to be realistic based on our geographical location and where we're coming from. We don't want, something to be like, okay, we're just gonna meet and greet and have, a good time. We're gonna rendezvous for old time's sake, and before you know it, it turns out into a tower moment when there's sudden upheaval, a sudden catastrophic event, someone getting clobbered over the head or something. So just keep your wits about you and be safe. We also have a little aspect here with Pluto. Pluto is kind of opposing Mars and Moon in Cancer, Mars being retrograde. Pluto is also, it's opposing, sorry, and it's opposing Mars and Moon in Cancer. Let me just make that explicitly clear. And it's sort of conjuncting. I'm not sure if this is a conjunction, but I feel like the influences of Sun and Pluto are that great to be aspecting each other at this point in time, even though they're like 8 degrees away. And so the Pluto energy, brings in that destruction, brings in, the changes. Pluto, I like to say, the planet of doom and gloom, destruction and peril, with the promise of rebirth, with the promise of reconstruction and being able to build up again. But certain things have to be torn down. And so Pluto, yes, I would say it brings a certain level of aggression, because transformation takes power and you need to take authority and enact your power. And so again, we need to be careful for any sort of power struggles, power dynamics being played out in a negative way during this period of time. This full moon, in my opinion, is going to be quite busy. And I feel like the most important thing to extrapolate from this video is, well, first of all, you should have been planting good seeds so that when the full moon comes around, you're not in lack, you're not longing for anything, you're not wanting anything. You know what I'm saying? You have already created certain systems in place to have a certain level of fulfillment. The full moon is happening on the 13th. So in numerology, if we deduce that to 4, that comes back down to being organized, being structured, stability, having good foundations, being disciplined. So you're going to be reaping all of those seeds that you've been sowing, or the lack of seeds that have been sowed during this time. Also, I just want to add this little cherry on top. I know that I spoke towards, maybe abuse, domestic violence in the home. There's a positive side. I think we touched on, homecoming, family reunions, people coming together, just enjoying, your family and, your home and the things that make you feel at home. The moon is in Cancer, but it's going to be shifting into Leo, which is going to motivate our actions to be more bold, more aggressive, because we know that fire signs deal with, actions and expression. Leo is fixed too, so that could be impulsive, that could be a bit risky, that could be adventurous. And so we are going to need to be careful as well, because people are going to be in the mood to make some big bold moves as the moon slides into Leo. The fire could destroy, the fire could burn, the fire could change, the fire could bring transformations, the fire could do all sorts of things on a positive, neutral, and negative aspect. And so again, we need to be careful, because some people might feel confident to impede on your personal space, impede on your peace. And then the full moon is going to conclude in Virgo, which makes us peer into the details. The devil is always into the details. So at the ending phase of the full moon, when it's in Virgo, we're going to be looking back at the whole past 2-3 days like, what the hell just happened? So you got to stay on guard. On guard! Like a musketeer. Major farewell until we meet or greet again. This full moon is going to be busy. Keep your wits about you, stay protected, and continue working. Yeah? Major farewell until we meet or greet again. I'm astrologer Kevis Major. Doing it major.